boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. We got a great show for you this evening. Why? Because I said so. We're going to be talking about marriage and kids. And I know I got a lot to say about it, but I don't know if I'm an expert on it or not. But we do have some experts tonight that we're going to talk about it with. And so we got some newcomers that's coming to the stage, and we got some old timers as well. And so we're going to look at it like this. The first question that we're going to talk about is what song best describes your life? Right? What song best describes your life? Now, some people are song connoisseurs, and some people can't really get down to focus on what song describes their life. But I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to think about it, and you answer the question. Everybody in the back, I think, is ready. And as you're doing hide and seek, right? Ready or not, here we come, right? And so back, without further ado, we're going to start with my homie, becoming my friend, Mr. Martavius Young. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Humble Dad. I knew you was going to call me first. I'm still pondering that.
Still pondering the song? Okay. Let me help you out, okay? What's the genre that you would say?
Okay, I got one in mind. I'm like an old school. I love old school music. My mom always loved it. And I did a message today talking about people always say, never forget where you come from. And I said, I'm going to take it a step further. Never forget why you left. So if I got one song, it would be Anthony Hamilton, Coming from Where I'm Coming From. Coming from where I'm from. And I just thought about it, him looking at his life today, singing a song from retrospect, looking at everything he had to go through. But now he's on this national stage and he's able to tell his story in such a way that it's going to impact people and it's going to touch people like me from a small town who may be going through similar things, and they can see the trials and everything that he went through, but he didn't give up. He continued to do the little things, and he continued to surround himself with great people like Humble Dad, who allowed him to grow and to become, and who spoke wisdom and life into him too. He can get to that point to where he can now give back and help other people. So if I had one song, and I was thinking, man, that was hard, this would probably be it, because it's just looking for retrospect for me.
That's what's up. That's a dope answer, man. I appreciate that. Hey, and then we're going to welcome to the stage. We don't give too many introductions. We're just going to tell you who coming next. You know what I'm saying? The one that looks most unprepared. That's who I'm coming to. I'm just kidding. And she already know who it is. My friend, sister girl.
Why do you continue to do me week after week? You know what?
This is a good thing. That's a good thing. That means I'm consistent.
Bless God.
That's how you grow, right? Consistency.
This is correct. And I look like I'm going to have to clean this screen here in a second.
Sure.
So I thought of two. Okay. Hustle Hard and Celebration by Kool and the Gang.
You want to explain why?
Man, you know, I feel like I'm always moving. I'm always busy. I'm always hustling. I'm always trying to make moves for my family. So that's my Hustle Hard. And then I feel like every day should be a day of celebration. Like we get to get up every day and make the best of what we have. So I wanted to celebrate being able to do that every single day. Bless God. I'm glad he puts breath in my body.
That's what's up. And then we're going to go with the person that never has an answer, but he need to have one today. Mr. Prototype.
What's good? What's good?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Man, living a dream, you know, the best I can.
That's what's up.
So I got a two song answer. I guess I'm gonna go with While We Here by Deontay Hitchcock. And I'm gonna go with How to Get Rich by Chinks.
Okay.
So if there's any two songs I've been listening to for the last 4 years, I listen to them every day. Like, so
That's
it's
what's
just
up.
yeah.
Are they motivators or is
They're
something-
motivators. All the music I listen to are motivators.
That's a bet. Okay. Well, we're gonna call up my homie and my friend. You know what I'm saying? I got a couple of them. And this one, he never he don't do no capping, right? You know what I'm saying? He gonna shoot you straight. And he served his great country in a mighty way. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Green Beret himself, my homie, Mr. Quest.
What up, humble dad? Dr. Dad, you know what's going on.
I'm good.
Nah,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was pondering on this question. So this song actually, Phil Collins, "In the Air Tonight." That's like one of my favorite songs because, like, in the song he says, "I've been waiting for this moment for all my life." Right. So the thing that he's talking about to me, in my interpretation, is death. Right. We all living to die. We all are, right? And it's almost one of them things. It's a song where it kind of like puts life truly in perspective, right? We're all living to die. At some point, it's gonna end. So make it worthwhile while you living. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes that song even like will bring tears to my eyes because I know how important that song is to me, especially when my wife knows, like, yeah, he wants this played at his funeral for sure. Like, so you know what I mean? Like, that's what it is.
That's what's up. I appreciate that, man. And then we have a newcomer coming to the stage, but didn't seem like a newcomer as we were talking to her backstage. Welcome to the panel, Miss Dia.
Hello.
Did I say it right? Yeah, you know.
Yep, you said it right.
That's what's up, Miss
So
Dia.
I
Welcome
chose.
to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I chose Zoom by Lionel Richie. It reminds me of my dad, and he's responsible for me. Period. Like everything that I am and everything that I aspire. He taught me a lot, and I'm a dreamer, just naturally. Like I'm always trying to elevate, like trying to get better every day. So everything that he spoke about in the song it's just beautiful. If you listen to the words, I
That's
love
what's
it.
up. You gonna sing it?
No,
I just threw a wrench in it.
no, I'm gonna do y'all like that.
I was just playing. I just threw a wrench in it. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey, I know who probably gonna sing a song. You know what I'm saying? My my accountability partner, Mr. Dwayne Jones. Go ahead and hit them with that song, bro.
I would not do that to nobody like that. No, you know what? Mine, fortunately, has been I would say Amazing Grace, because man, I would say I was wretch, like miserable. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that as an answer. And I've been hearing a lot about Luke 15 lately, about the importance of lostness.
Okay.
So to be found, I find that to be important. So I'll go with that song.
That's what's up. I have I don't have a song, right? I do have one song that's most recent, was yesterday, which is "I Won't Complain" by what's his name, Reverend I think it's Bishop Jones, I think it is, something like that. My pastor used to sing it a lot, and found out that that my fiance, that it was her grandmother who passed away 9 years ago. It was her favorite song, and it was a song that I used to listen to probably like at least twice a month because my pastor would sing it so often. And then also Jonathan McReynolds' entire album, like his newest album, is like fire, right? And it's kind of, he's just talking about his story and what it looks like to navigate through life from as a Christian. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to Chicago Rilla, man. He always in the chat talking about how I be having food all the time. He's not gonna let me have this down. There's no songs about food that I like. Chicago Rilla. All right. So we're gonna start out pretty simple today. All right. And our first question is going to be, how many kids did you want versus how many you had or have? How many kids did you want versus how many you had? Okay. And we'll start with Prototype.
I wanted a lot of kids. I have a lot of kids. You know what I'm saying? So I really didn't have no set number. I would have been cool with 2, but 3, 4. I think 5 is probably overkill. I'm at 4. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's the perfect number for me. Yeah, anything over that is retarded. But
What? You talking about for yourself?
For me.
Oh, okay.
for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
yeah,
you got going next.
Let's go with Shan.
I actually got the number that I wanted. I wanted 4 because I wanted an even number. I didn't like that my siblings and I were odd. I don't know what that was about. But then they start coming. I think they came too quick. But I got 4. Now we back in chill mode because everybody's preteen and teenagers. That's the age group I like. So yeah, 4 is 4. I'm with you, Prototype. That 4 is a good number.
But it wouldn't have been retarded though if you had 5 though.
No, I just
because you said you was with Prototype and that was a part of what he said.
I said 5 is overkill. Anything over that is retarded.
Oh, my bad. I apologize. He said 6 or more. That's what he said. Okay.
Okay. I mean, we're already outnumbered, so I don't understand why we don't want to add any more to that. 4 is good. It's even.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 is overkill. We're not. God no. I would look like a small circus. At any rate, Dia, is that how you say it?
Yes, Dia.
Okay, come on, Dia. Grace us with your presence on today.
Okay, so I always said I would have one, a son, and I knew it would be a boy, but I had 2. So I wish I would have had more, but it's too late now. So it is what it is. I'm waiting on grandbabies now. So
Miss Dia look like she used to date all the D-boys in the 90s. Boy, you got that look with the hair flip. You look like my aunties.
I'm a hairstylist. So my hair is always flipped some kind of way. But let's go with Quest.
So man, when I was younger, like in my 20s, I ain't want no kids. Cause in my head, I'm thinking I don't want them to be like how I am or how I was at the time, right? Like I was a wild boy and I definitely didn't want to be spitting out no wild boys or girls, right? But I got 2. So initially I ain't want none. I got 2 now. Yeah.
All right, who you got going next, Quest?
I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Hey, look. Get your mic ready, my boy. You know what I'm saying? Dia, you gonna learn that the man I'm getting ready to call out right now, my man Mike don't never be ready. But I feel like the spirit is telling me that his mic will be ready. Dwayne, we coming at you.
Man, I appreciate that. Mic check 2 1 2.
Yeah, we in there.
All right, cool. You know what? I'm with you on that one, Quest. Man, in my younger days, none at all. But then as I got into my 20s, I was like, man, this world is jacked up. So, you know what? I didn't even want to have kids at that point, but I was like, you know what? There's something about it. So whenever me and my wife got together, she already had a daughter. So we already had a little family from the jump. So then we had to have some brothers and sisters. So right now, in my 20s or teens, 0. Didn't want 0, but now I got 4. All right, come on with it, Martavius.
Yeah, Dwayne, I'm gonna need you to play them that Amazing Grace so they can give me some, because I'm over here with 5 kids. So I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, you get used to it, man. Just like anything else in life, you make it work. And I didn't want 5. I was good at 4, but then we found out, somebody from the old school, I had a dream about fishes, and you know what that means. And called my wife up and be like, I think you guys are having twins. And that's how we found out we were having twins. And I'm still kind of shocked about that. So we're 5, and it's a party all the time.
What are their ages?
8, 5, 3, and the twins 1.5.
That's what's up.
Oh, you got young 5.
Yeah, so there.
How old are you, Martavius?
35.
Oh,
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Hey, he got enough energy to get it done, bro.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
35.
It sounds better than what it is, but what we tell ourselves when they get to that high school age and we're able to go on vacation, they're going to college, and our friends our age are not just now having kids and starting their family, it's almost like we're kind of ahead of the curve. So, I mean, it's crazy some days, but it's a blessing at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Okay, so we'll go around real quick. The ages of your kids. Go ahead, Shan.
Oh God. 15, 14, 12, and 9.
Prototype.
5, 8, 14, 17.
Dwayne.
what I told you, dear. I told you my boy Mike are never gonna be ready. Here you go. Didn't I just tell you?
Oh my God.
So I told. Did you see how humble dad introduced me? I don't be capping.
I did.
It's a perfect example. There you
I
go.
heard it.
Come on, Dwayne.
Well, he jumped on that one quick, didn't he? Well played. All right, my bad. 17, 6, 4, and 3.
Dia.
25 and 14. Don't ask. Yes, I started all over. Huge gap.
That's what's up.
Mine 12 and 2. And just for the record, I may have to calm down just to put the pause on the 2-year-old back there. You see what I'm saying?
Understood. You already know I be having the cam down because I got a 4-year-old that be wilding sometimes.
Right.
So I get it. So I have 13, 11, 9, and 4.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, it's pretty active over here for sure.
Right.
So as we so thank you for that. So that's pretty lightweight question. And so as for the people that are thinking about having kids or have kids, different people tuning in, right? And so my question for the panel is, how can you plan for kids? How can you plan? Because oftentimes they're not necessarily planned. However, we talked about last week that it should be planned, and somebody said no, they shouldn't be planned. So I'm asking the question this week of how can you plan for kids? How can you plan for kids? And we'll start with Shan.
Oh, I mean, the easy response is have somewhere to stay, have a job, right? Be gainfully employed, have somewhere to stay. And with the times that we are in now, be in a stable marriage, just be in a marriage, okay? Because all these baby daddy issues and mamas and all, we're not doing none of that. So for me, I think the best way to plan is to be with a partner that you know you're going to be with for the long haul. That makes things easier, for sure. Other than that, there's this song that I listen to. I don't even know what the name of it is since we're going back to songs. But at the beginning, it's, I think, Kramer. Oh, God. And he's saying something about you can never be prepared for growth, right? And so starting a family is growth. So it's not something that you can prepare for. Like I can have a job, I can have somewhere to stay. But to be a parent, it's a transition. And how do we prepare for transitions? We grow in transitions. And then we learn how to be at that part. And then when we have another child, that's another transition and we grow again. So I think being healthy here, being with a healthy partner or spouse, and just having income and a place to stay is the best way to plan for a family. Have some insurance, okay? Life and medical. God bless. Let's roll on over to Dwayne.
All right. You know what? I would say make sure y'all going in the same direction. Yeah, I'm checked up. Yeah, I pushed that button. Yeah, make sure that we're going in the same direction. That's primary for me, because you can't make it work if y'all are going in two separate directions. So from the jump, like from friendship on to dating to engagement to marriage to a life partner, all that. Like, you gotta make sure for me, the foundation is right. So as for planning for kids, make sure that I'm planning to have kids with somebody I know who is going in the same direction as me, and the least friction as possible. All right, come on with it, dear.
I would say check the DNA or whoever you co-mingling with, because background is very, very important as far as, I'm talking about mental, physical, all of that. DNA first and foremost. I would definitely say commitment. And commitment means being with somebody that's committed in the same values, like the same value structure, because marriage is not the only tie that binds. If you were somebody that's committed to having and raising children, would be first and foremost in my mind. I will also say abstinence will be best, because anytime you laying down, it's a possibility you're going to make a baby. So if you out there bad, don't do it. Think about it. And then you value yourself a little more when you get older. So I wouldn't say don't do it too young. Don't wait till you get too old. Don't assume based on your experience with doing it the first time that you won't want to do it again, because I wish I would have had more kids. But basically just be on the same page as far as value and structure. I don't know how much you can actually plan, especially if you're not practicing abstinence, because it can happen at any time. But I would say think about those things first.
Before you call on who you got next?
Oh, I'm sorry.
My bad. I have 5 kids. I've been corrected by Kendra. Okay, I have 5 kids. She has one that's 21, and so we are coming together as a cohesive family. And I forgot about that.
You about to be on the couch, my brother. You got it. Look,
for real.
I'm just playing.
I apologize. You know what I'm saying? She sent me one of those quick texts. You know what I'm saying, right? And so she said, I'm waiting. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to make sure I went ahead and did that. And
can I ask Dia how's she going about getting this DNA?
Oh, okay. That's a great question.
Saying, check the background of the person.
Oh, okay. I thought you were swabbing.
No, definitely not a swab. I don't trust her. I'm saying have communication, clear communication, go around the person's family and check the mama, the daddy. If they don't know them, you need to find some cousins or something so you'll know what's going on as much as possible. So just check the background of the person that you're dealing with.
You sound like my wife. My wife be saying the same thing. She's like, I don't know how somebody.
Yeah.
What's the rest of it? How some of these what?
I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it. If we too early in the cast, you know what I'm saying? You put my old lady how she be talking out there like that. You know what I'm saying?
Let's try to deal. Who you got going next?
Martavius.
Best thing I can say, me and my wife's first, we didn't plan it and we had no idea what we was doing. And we learned out very fast, you need to have structure. So if you don't have any type of structure, I think that's the first thing that you need to go to work on, whether it's your job or whatever the case it is. For me, I think I try to use everything as a learning tool. So for me, when I thought about structure, like you have a job, you can't show up your job anytime that you want to. Like there's a specific time you check in, you check out. They're not paying you overtime for nothing unless they ask you to do this. So when it comes to parenting, like babies, like they have a schedule. So like for us, we got 5 kids and they're all young. So for us, if we didn't have any structure, like they would be going wild all the time. But that's not the case. Like our 1.5-year-old, they go to bed at 6 o'clock. So between 6 and 7 that next morning, me and my wife got time for ourselves. Our boys, they go to bed at 8:30. The one that's struggling right now is our 3-year-old because she was still a baby when we had our twins. So she's kind of that middle child. So she's the only one that we kind of have problems with that. But the one thing, like I said, that I learned is like you need to have some type of structure. And if you got that structure, then you're teaching your kids, because kids don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They can't teach themselves. It's your job as parents to teach them these things. So for me, I think structure is the best thing that you can do. Like I said, if you're young, most of the people that's out having kids and just doing these things they're not getting on stuff like this, listening to mature adults have conversation, give advice and teach you how to do these things. They're just out and then they learn after the fact, or they're just learning from people who've done it wrong for so long, and then they figure out and say it don't work when that's not the case. I think you're just getting the wrong information from the wrong people. So for me, with people that's going to be listening to Humble Dad and what he has to say and the people that he bring on, like you just have to just like take in everything that he's giving you every single week and try to use all these things to build your life around that. Don't just take, when we talk about marriage, and think you can only use that to marriage. You can use these things for your job as well. Like you have coworkers who will sometimes act like your spouses or whatever the case may be. That's how close you are. Not saying they act like them, but that's the relationship that you have. And sometimes you have to learn how to set boundaries. So I'll just stay on that topic. Is the first thing that you need to do, just make sure you have some type of structure to bring that kid home so that you're not stressed out and you're not depressed about having that newborn or whatever the case may be. So I'll take mine over to Prototype.
Man, I think everybody kind of summed it up, right? There's one constant theme is you can't be prepared. The only thing that I would put out there is be married, be absolutely married. Like there's no be married. There's no way around it. You know, anything else is just uncivilized. So if you're having kids, be married. If you accidentally have kids, be married. You know, so that's it. Prepare for kids is being married. I think that's everybody.
That's everybody.
I'm telling you, I was gonna literally say the exact same thing that Prototype said. Obviously, it's not the end all be all as far as you know, the standard of, hey, you're okay to have kids if you're married, but should be the bare minimum. It should be the bare minimum. And ladies, just because you go and get pregnant don't mean you have to go and necessarily have the child with this dude, right? Be married, just like Prototype said. I would also say, yeah, I mean, we ain't gonna all agree on everything, but I would also say that you know, wait a couple years into your marriage if you have the ability to, right? Wait a couple years, try to truly know if this is somebody that you're gonna want to spend the rest of your life with. Sometimes we make that commitment and we get tied up and we get married and we find out we done moved in with each other and I don't like the way she sleep. You know what I mean? She be farting in her sleep and she, you know what I mean? She always leaving the toilet seat. He always leaving the toilet seat. This all over weird. You know what I mean? And then you end up getting divorced. Truly try to make sure you enjoy yourselves within your marriage. Make sure that this is something that you want to do for the rest of your life. And then say, hey, let's make the decision to have kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but the bare minimum, you need to be married. We doing our kids a disservice if we don't do that. So thank you, baby.
Yeah, I think that's important too, man. Like the I mean, so many studies. We have these conversations on other panels. I mean, it's so much information. If you go look at the research about having the kids to have both of their parents in the house, I mean, it's far greater than having be raised by a single parent, right? I mean, especially a single mom for sure. But information has come out that a dad is like two parents, which is interesting to me. But at the same time, I'm saying, even I hope that at some point that people, when they listen to this show, that they take from what it is that they get here, but talk about it in their circles, you know, and have them, because I talk about it to different people, right? And so if you're able to kind of reach one person, then you're actually changing a generation of people. If you ever think about it, right? So as we transition, I appreciate that. This is good. So with the conversation being about kids, for me, one of the things that I kind of always look at is like, what am I doing that's helping my kids become better? But at the same time, I also see that my kids also help me. I remember going to, I think it was a homeschool convention, and this guy stood up and he asked the professional dad, if you will, he said, I have a kid that's kind of unruly. And could you tell me what it is that I could do to kind of help him or help me be able to kind of parent him better? And he said, well, look at it like this. It's very possible God is trying to tell you something about yourself and your relationship with God in the same way as your relationship with your son. So kind of look at it from that perspective of what is it that you're not doing. And maybe that's the same thing that your son is doing to you. And then you can probably put around the a plan or an idea to kind of change how your relationship is with your son. So from that perspective or your own perspective, what have kids taught you about yourself? What have kids taught you about yourself? And we'll start with Martavius.
Oh man, that I still got some of my dad and my grandpa in me is what they taught me. No matter how much work you've done in yourself, like there's still room to grow, and there's still triggers within you from your childhood and how you was raised. I think with my son Riley, like all the time, like I say he's emotional, but it's not. I think it's just how he reacts to me. Sometimes when I want something done, I may raise my voice, and I'm not trying to be mean or raise my voice, but that's how he received it. So sometimes he'll say these things, and me, I tell my kids all the time, you have a voice, but then I have to remind myself, like when he's trying to explain things to me, I can't cut him out because that's me telling him you don't have a voice. And if he don't have that in our house, then he's not going to feel that outside the house. So for me, it's just learning, like no matter how much work that you do on yourself, like at the end of the day, your kids are going to tell you what kind of parents you really are. And you can go out and try to teach and tell people all day long. But if you are not famous, I always say, if you're not famous in your house, then what are you doing it for? It doesn't matter who's outside of the building that's cheering you on and validating you and doing all of these things if you coming home to unhappy kids or unhappy wife. So for me, it's like always keeping things in perspective and understanding, like at the end of the day, like my growth is for my kids because I don't want to pass down what was passed down to me. So in order for that to happen, I have to be aware of these things. And like I said, the only way to be aware of it is how are you parenting and how are your kids receiving these things, because that's ultimately letting you know if it's effective or not. If it's not working, then you need to switch something up. So my kids let me know all the time, and just my parenting style. If it's not working, I'm not going to continue to do it because you're passing that down and they're going to continue that cycle. And for me, I decided to break that cycle. I had to become aware of myself, getting in my own way. And many times, like I said, that's my kids. And a lot of times, like they just teach me so many times. Like I said, no matter how much you go to work on yourself, the work never stops, and you just have to continue to grow and continue to show up for yourself and also for them as well. So that's my takes on it. So I'll go over to Shan.
Well, I have the unique opportunity to not only parent 4 kids, but also to be in education. So I feel like I'm constantly getting lessons at home and at work. I think one thing that I am consistently working on with just children in general is my patience. And some days are way better than others. Some days I look and we just blow it off because it's just not that serious. I can be high anxiety about certain things. And so my kids are just very relaxed. They are really a chill, laid back group of 4. And I don't know how or why the Lord has blessed me with such laid back children, but I can appreciate it because we all balance each other out. I have one child in particular who I feel is almost a mirror image of myself. Which one, Humble Dad?
Promise?
No.
Oh, Faith.
There you go.
Yeah, Faith, yeah.
She looks like me. Her attitude is similar at times. And so it is a constant battle with having to check myself because she's a little bit more sensitive than I am. So how am I talking? How is what I'm saying being perceived? And trying to constantly correct my tone. And then it also showed me, like back in the day growing up, my parents were like, I ain't your friend. But I feel like I have a friendship with my kids. It's a fine line because they know if their face turns a certain way or the tone or the inflection changes, like it's all business. But it has also taught me like I can genuinely have a relationship with my children and also be their mother. So I appreciate that as well in parenting for, and also working with kids. That right there, I have learned so much about different personalities. It is quite amazing to have that opportunity. So, yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Quest.
Can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I was over here trying to click the stream to your audience. So I gotta agree with Martavius, man. He definitely shows me that I got some of my dad in me still. And that's like lack of patience and stuff like that. So if anything, I gotta say is my 2-year-old definitely is teaching me patience. My 12-year-old was trying to teach me patience, but I think I was too young still to accept those lessons that she was trying to teach me. But I'm getting them now. Now, on the back end, that sucks because she may look at it from a perspective of, hey, dude, I've been trying to put you on, and the little one is the one that's actually doing it. I'm just in a different stage in life. But that is probably the biggest one is patience. I'm still working on my patience, but that's probably the biggest one. And we're gonna go ahead and shoot that thing over to my boy Cheeky. What up?
What's up, Cheeky? Like, how you gonna answer this question, bro? I didn't know if you was gonna make it or not. You gonna be able to answer this question, bro?
Yeah.
You have a delay, bro.
Yeah, and I can't hear you.
I have a delay.
There you
now
go.
you good.
You good now?
Okay, got you. I mean, I can't answer from like the kids' part. I can answer from my side, but
yeah. That's what I wanted to hear from your side.
So I think I've taught my father because he had me young. I think what Quest was saying, just patience and perspective, right? I think kids are autonomous and they have their own thoughts. It's just up to the parent to respect that, and then and actually want to understand that child. So a lot of the things that I would do is just ask questions, and it would always cause for conversation. So being inquisitive and like, hey, what is this? How can you determine this is right, this is wrong? I would ask questions like that while I was like 8, 10-ish. So I was just asking questions, and I asked a lot of them. And so I taught him patience, or I taught him how to answer, or maybe even, give a message to somebody that lacks understanding. I think the ability to communicate with somebody who's not on maybe the same intellectual level as you is it teaches you how to communicate, but also teaches you how to teach patiently, right? Because there's just things that if somebody doesn't understand something, that could be a frustrating time for both you and the person that's trying to understand what you're saying. And I think that when you know how to communicate something effectively to both the young and the old, it just teaches you how to be a better communicator. Like, I think that's big. One. And another thing too is I taught him that you can still learn. That's something that he's told me. It was something that he would say, like, you taught me, even though you're younger than me, I still respect you as a man. And when I was younger, like, even when I was like, I'm 26, so at 21, he was like, I still respect and I still can learn. I still learn from you even at 21. And that's important for me to remember, that I can still learn from people that's younger than me. So that was something that he said I taught him. And that kids actually listen, all right? Like, your words have meaning and your words have some influence. He already knew that, but he was just like, I knew these. He would always go, I prayed to God that what I said made sense and you would follow it. Because he would always tell me, you can't make your child do anything. Like, you can only do so much. It ain't a lot you can do, but everything that happens is on you. So it's like, if he told me, hey, don't be this, don't be that, don't be this, and I took it upon myself to be like, well, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be influenced by, you know, what the world has to offer, what it is that they send as a message. He wouldn't be able to do anything besides I'm praying or I'm hoping you listen. And so one of the things he says is, I don't really take credit for how you came out in regards to, you know, who you are as an individual, but I do take credit for being the person to instill certain principles. It's just you took it upon yourself to follow it. Like, kids don't listen sometimes. So I'm not of the belief that if your kid turned out bad, it's your fault. I'm of the belief of, well, if your kid don't listen, then that's on the kid. He make his own choices. All right. So there's stuff like that.
That's what's up. I appreciate you being here, bro. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get that perspective from, because I know that you don't have kids, but I know that you talk about your dad a lot. And so I wanted to get that perspective from you. And then as far as relationships, we'll get into those topics in a few moments. And so who would you like to go? Who has went? I think it's Montavious has went, Quest has went, Shan has went. And you can choose who goes next out of Dwayne, Dia, and Prototype. It's not a trick question, Cheeky.
Cheeky, I'm talking to you. Who you want to go next, bro?
Oh, my bad. I'm trying to make sure my audio is right. Is it?
Oh, okay. You good? Yeah.
I was talking on my computer audio, not my mic.
Oh,
but it should be fixed now.
Who you want to go next?
We can go with Montavious or Martavious.
Dwayne, is Dwayne, Dia, or Prototype?
Let's see. Let's go with Prototype. Prototype, like he has something to say.
Oh, that's his everyday look, bro. He's talking about. Is that right, Prototype? I was just messing with you, bro.
Something my kids have taught me, that no matter how good of a parent you are, you can't replace their actual parent, the other parent. Biological parents are absolutely necessary for the child's growth. I thought that I could outparent outparent the need for another parent, but I couldn't. And it's shot back in my face 2 times harder. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you need both parents to be absolutely involved, and that's why I say get married. And you can't even replace the parent with a step parent, because that don't work either. So get married, and yeah, that's about it. Oh, they're all different, and they're not you. They are all different, and they are not you. So whatever you think you can handle, you think you could do what you used to do growing up, or however you function, move, or your thought process, they not you. So yeah, that's what they taught me, that they not me.
I think before you go, I wanted to kind of elaborate on that point, Prototype, before you say who go next. Like that's a good one. I think that's the challenge that I face at times, is remembering that they are who they're part of me, right? However, they are not me, right? And I got to remember that I'm supposed to steward them in a particular way that allows them to be who it is that they are, as opposed to trying to make them who I want them to be. So that was really good. I thank you for that reminder. Who you got going next?
Let's go. I ain't gonna let the lady go last, so let's go with Miss Dia.
Thank you. I think mostly my kids taught me a lot about my spiritual journey. So both of my kids are really spiritually inclined since birth. And I see my spiritual evolution through them, especially because it's such a big age gap. So when I look at my first son, he's definitely a reflection of where I was mentally when I had him, versus my younger child, who is a reflection more of where I am now. And I realize as a parent that they will have minds of their own, and they keep me together. Like, they let me know when I'm wrong, or when they think that I'm wrong, and I allow them to let me know. We communicate. So They get me together, and that's a reflection of me, because that's kind of what I do to them. And I respect their opinions. Both of them are really bright, and they have minds of their own. And I taught them that. So I don't teach them what to think. I teach them how to think. So that's what gives us the liberty to communicate with each other. And my youngest is really spiritual, and he always has a response to everything, and it gets on my nerves, but a lot of times he is definitely right. So I'm a person, I don't think older makes you wiser. Like, one thing that I've learned is that I think all of our souls are different ages. So regardless as to how many years we are old, our souls still have to evolve, and we all came here for different reasons. So I respect that in myself, and I respect that in them. So we have to give each other a lot of grace around here. So, yeah.
So you, Dwayne?
Man. So yeah, I can get down with everything y'all saying. Like each of mine, they're all different. So I'm also in the step parent category, but I don't consider myself that. Been in her life since she was 5, so 12 years, and it's interesting to me because I could look at in that age gap and see, like Dia was saying, that's sort of the different stages in life and where you were at. So like a lot of the things, like mistakes, that I can look back and be like, man, you know what? You could have went to school and ate lunch with her a lot more, like stuff like that. So with my younger ones, like I'll make it a point now, like once a week, go and eat lunch with them. So for my oldest, like there's a lot of things, like, man, I'm still learning lessons to this day, like just from the oldest, because like that's it's my girl, and she got a boyfriend now and all this, going up to her senior years in high school. And I'm like, man, like I'm having to recalibrate and look at things differently, because I'm like, no boyfriend, no this, no that, right? And it's like you're gonna have that letting go process, which is like, that's tough. But then going down to my son, that little boy right there. So he almost drowned, and that's whenever at that moment in time, he was 2 years old and he almost drowned, and I was so upset. But that was the biggest learning lesson for me, because I realized that after he almost drowned, I put him on the side. He jumped back in 5 times after me asking him a question each time. So you think you could swim? And each time he said yes and jumped in and damn near drowned each time after. And that moment was whenever I realized, you know what? He just like me. He's a learn by doer. Like he gonna do it. Like, and he gonna do it until he fails. So in that, like, I had to re-examine the way that I look at my kids, each of them. So like, I'm always open for a lesson. Do they hurt? Yes, sometimes they do hurt, but I take those opportunities. So I would say every day, I'm still learning.
That's good. Did anybody have anything to add?
I do. I like what Ms. Dia said. And like growing up, I was the disciplinarian, right? I feel like that's still kind of my role in a sense. But what I have learned over, again, going back to school, a lot of the times when we overparent our kids, your children come to school and I'm the teacher that gets talked to. I find out about situations that have to be reported to CPS. I find out about people in jail. I find out about some of the most horrific things that are happening because we don't know how to talk with our children. And I like that Ms. Dia said that she doesn't teach her children how to think. She doesn't teach them what to think. She teaches them how to think. And I'm telling you, we cause ourselves to overparent. And I think being in a school has changed me so much in how I approach parenting. I want to have such an open relationship with my children that they come and talk to me instead of talking to their friends, instead of talking to a teacher, instead of having going to a counselor, instead of keeping it to themselves and then acting out. I have kids cutting themselves. I've had kids try to hang themselves in my presence, okay, at a school that I worked in. I've worked in all situations. I've worked with students in behavior. I work with special education students. So I've seen it all. And I'm talking about secondary students. So that prime age when they're going through things. So it is important that they come to me and they talk to me so that I can navigate how they handle this when they are out of my house. Dwayne, you said my daughter has a boyfriend. Great. You should applaud the fact that she has one. And now, hey, let me know who he is. Your relationship should be well enough that she comes to you about this joker so that you can tell her, okay, these are some things you should be looking at. I don't want to say no boys. No, because if I tell you no boys, you're going to sneak and do it, number one, or you're not going to do it because you're so scared of me that eventually when you get out of my house, you have to figure it out alone. I would much rather you figure it out with me so that I can help you navigate how to date. I can help you navigate how to drive. I can help you navigate how to have work ethic. I can help you navigate those things here, leading by example, as opposed to you going out and I've been trying to figure stuff out on my own since I left my parents' house, and it's not fun and it's not easy. I want us to be able to do it. Am I giving my kids condoms and saying go for it? Hell to the no, I'm not. But if you come to me and say, I like a boy, great. So what's going on with this child? Is he involved in anything at school? You're a straight A honor roll student. You're in GT classes. You're on track to graduate early. You're on track to have an associate's degree. Is this the kind of joker that you're dealing with? Are they in classes with you? Are they in the lower classes? What are we dealing with here? And it gives us an opportunity to have conversation and for them to understand how to set standards for themselves and boundaries if that is necessary. So again, I was with the don't say nothing, don't speak, we ain't talking about it. But I have learned that when we don't do that at home, your kids come and talk to me at school, after school, during lunch, during the hallway, tutoring, all of that. I have heard it all. I have seen it all, and it is a hot mess. So that's
that was something that Matavia said, right? He said you need to be the most famous person in the house, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not that, then everybody else has more influence than you.
Yes.
I thought that was a really dope take. All right, that's really good. Did anybody want to put in their 2 cents?
So I definitely don't agree with the letting your daughter date in high school, blah 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 blah, XYZ. Now I have a 17-year-old, and she doesn't live with me currently, right? Because when she started going through all this teenage stuff, she had to go. Like it was mommy time. You gotta go live with your mom because whatever you're dealing with, you gotta go there. But it's ironic. Just this past weekend that my mom and her mother both found it okay to tell me that, oh yeah, your daughter has a boyfriend that she's been seeing for a couple months and blah 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 blah. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, and y'all think this is okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that y'all are just now telling me, and 2, y'all think it's okay for her to have this boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? She in high school. Like this is retarded. I mean, I think it's retarded, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's just a woman's way of functioning when they don't have guidance. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if there was if I was with their mom, this definitely wouldn't be going down. And you know what I'm saying? It would be a whole different scenario. But because she's with the single mom situation now, they're just, you know, allowing it to happen and allowing it like, oh yeah, I've been around him plenty of times this way and that way, right? And he's a nice young man. And I'm like, man, I used to slaughter moms back in my day. Like moms was lunch meat to the little girls, you know, when I was in high school. I could woo them all day. So I just don't agree with the high school data. You could do that out, you know, once they graduate high school. You know, they don't gotta live with you, or I mean, they don't gotta be in a house or still in high school. Like you can navigate the situation when they leave. Because that's how I feel. Like they shouldn't date They want to do grown up things. They need to be paying grown up bills and handle, being grown.
You feel that same way about your sons if you had a son?
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's interesting.
I mean, I do, right? Like I do feel it's different. It's definitely different, but you got to look at it. You got to look at it from the other perspective, right? Us being young boys, right? A lot comes with he might have touched me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the inappropriate, boys not handling their hormones correctly. You know what I'm saying? You mess around, you come home and your son got a little boy and little girl in the house, and you know what I'm saying? You catch them, now you're in trouble. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to think about that kind of stuff too. It ain't just, now the reasoning is different, of course, but you got to teach them, like, this is what you need to look out for. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to be accountable for, or I am accountable for you bringing home some little girl in my house, or you doing something, like, you don't want to risk your future over this kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I mean,
I know because you older than me, but girls are getting smashed in the bathroom, man. If they want to have sex, they gonna have sex.
I know they are. I know that. So I mean, that's nothing new, right?
Right. So in my head, it's like, I understand and I agree. My dad didn't have that kind of issue with me. Like, I may be a wee bit autistic, like, because I don't view relationships and women the same way most dudes do. So he didn't have to worry about me like smashing every girl or trying to trick off on a girl, whatever the case may be. But do you think there's any importance for young men and young women to understand how to interact with one another at a certain point before they get 18? Do you think social awkwardness, like, when you think that's appropriate?
Yeah, but they need to learn how to interact with each other, but it should be built on decency and friendships and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be like a sexual thing, or, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't know what they're going through or doing, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not in the right platform. You know what I'm saying? It's just they don't get it. They don't get it like that yet. They're having these emotions, but they don't have the full scope of whatever. You know what I'm saying? So these little girls are like that sexual thing. Like, girls will be like, I love him. I'll do anything to a high school boy. Like, I'll drop out of school if he asks me to. I'll defy my whole family for this little, like, you know what I mean? And at 16, her life could be ruined because this little knucklehead over here just playing games and, you know what I'm saying, messing around, end up getting her pregnant. Now she's like, oh no, now she's a teenage mom. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get a hold on that, and you can't let that be accident. You know what I mean? So, like, I told my daughter, like, once you want to be grown, like, if that's what you want to do, then I'll treat you like an adult. You know what I'm saying? And I'll go ahead and emancipate you, like, because this ain't going to be on me. So, I mean, we can't control our kids, one, but two, like, they need to be very clear. Like, all right, if you want the adult conversations, we're going to have them. And I'm telling you, you're on the hook for this. And if you don't want my account, if you don't want my resources or whatever, fine, go over there. But as long as I'm going to be, paying for you, taking care of you, doing X, Y, Z, this is the rules. And, you know what I'm saying? A little boy ain't going to be involved in that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we got to be very, like, men will be like, I'm going to teach my daughter how to be with a man who's going to treat her like me. Or a 17-year-old boy is not going to treat her like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not going to happen. So you wait until after she finishes school, and then, like, all right, look, if you're looking for a guy that's going to, treat you like your daddy treats you, then you're looking for a guy with some resources, blah, 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 blah. But she needs to get to a maturity point to even find that kind of guy. So there's no point for her to even be diving into any of that.
Yo, so I hate to say it, my boy, but you ain't gonna stop that.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna stop that. When that motion start in their heads, ain't nothing you gonna be able to do to stop that. That shit sound cool.
I didn't say stop.
Cool. It sound good, but I'm telling you right now, you ain't gonna be able to stop no young girl like 16 years old from wanting to talk to a boy. I don't care what daddy's saying. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying
I get what it, huh?
I'm not saying I could stop it. I'm just saying at that point, it's a leverage thing. And like,
No, what I'm referring to is when
if you want my kid,
my bad. What I was referring to is when you were like, why y'all telling me this now? Like, it's cool. But so you clearly had an issue with it. What I'm saying is, I don't think we should have an issue with it. I think we should be involved in it, just like what the ladies are saying, right? Because we can't stop it. What we don't want to do is polarize them to where they're like, well, I can't come to him about any of that, right? So I'm gonna just keep this a secret over here. Now, I think that collectively we can all say that the last thing we want is our kids to be off here doing some things off here on the side, and it's secret away from our parents or from us. Excuse me.
You're not going to stop that either, then, because they're always going to have something from you. Like, you know,
if we're receptive to the idea and guide them through that whatever that thing is that they're doing, right? So in this particular case, it's having a boyfriend, right, or having a girlfriend. If we are receptive to them having one and then guiding them through that along the path, that way they don't drift too far off the side of the road and hit that brrr, you know, that be on the side of the highway. You know what I mean? We can keep them in the lanes, more or less, right? We give them a couple lanes to play around with, but nothing that's too crazy over here, having sex at 14 years old, or any wild, crazy shit like that, right? Keep them in the lanes. I think the chances of them wanting to go and act out in private, we lessen the chances of that.
I'm not saying I'm lessening the chances. I'm saying very clearly, my resources comes with this discipline, this obedience.
Sure.
If you don't want if you'd rather do that than get my resources, fine, do that. But my resources comes with these guarantees. It's like a job. You want to get paid, you got to do this job. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not doing that job, you're not getting paid from me.
Let me get Dia in here on this. What's your thoughts, Dia?
Well, my thoughts are that I feel like that energy is going to scare her away. And not just in the short term, but in the long term, it can hinder who she becomes and how she communicates with other men in the future. Just based on the fact that it's creating space between you and her as far as developing a relationship. You will have a better chance getting across to her, being able to relate as the young man that she's trying to get with. Like, you understand his frame of mind more than she would, just like you're saying. So I think it'll probably be better if you can talk to her from a young man's perspective.
I don't think she'll ever understand. I mean, it's like men think like men and women think like women. I don't think she'll ever understand it. So I'm not trying to get her to understand. I'm just telling her the stipulations on this is how you get the resources from me. Because I mean, her mother doesn't understand evidently because she thinks it's okay. And my mother don't understand it either because she thinks it's okay. Like, they're going through that. They're doing what y'all are saying, trying to usher her through they're doing that. And they're failing at it.
No,
you know
so and I'm glad you said that, right? Because earlier Humble Dad alluded to it by saying that a father in the home is almost like having two parents in the home, better chances, better outcomes in life, versus just being a single mother, right? The statistics show that, right? So, not trying to take jabs at single moms. That's not what I'm doing. The statistics show that is the case. So if you're saying that they're failing at it, how do you think it?
I said very clearly that I thought I can overparent. I could be so good of a father that they wouldn't want their mother.
Well, that's not what I'm suggesting at all.
But it is kind of what you're saying, right? Like a father in the home, you know what I'm saying? Like I still have custody of all of them. You know what I'm saying? But she's gotten wild where I'm like, all right, you got to go to your mom. So I've had her from the time she was born. When she got around them rocky ages, them preteens, 13, 14, whatever, there was nothing. I was like, there's nothing I could really do here.
I think that's when she needs her dad the most, if you ask me. Yeah. That's just me. Like, let me full disclosure. I have a 12-year-old daughter that does not live with me, right? I would love for her to live with me because she's also going through that transition into that, like, moving into teenager stuff that girls go through or whatever. I would love if she was able to live with me, right? But circumstances dictate otherwise, right?
She has a mom though, right? She's with her mom.
You said what?
She's with her mom.
Yeah,
right.
And
She was with me. She wasn't with her mom.
I got
she didn't have her mom until.
I got you. No, I got you. I understand.
So there's a very different dynamic going on in my situation where it's like, where's my mother? I need my mother. You can't replace the other parent, is what I was saying. I can't be, there's nothing I can do as a father to replace the biological need of the child to the other parent.
No,
and
I
vice
got you.
versa.
You're right
like
about that.
You know what I'm saying? From either way, like a woman can't be so good of a mother to a boy. You know what I'm saying? That boy's going to be like, man, I need to know who I walk like, who I talk like, where does stride come from? Who's going to teach me how to respond to this? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a guy at school. I need to know how to handle it. Should I be offended about this? Should I be offended about that? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different things that, like, I grew up single, you know, from a single mom. I didn't listen to nothing she said because she simply wasn't a man to be like, nothing, to say anything. She couldn't come to my games and be like, you didn't play hard enough. You ain't never played basketball. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
say prototype, but and I want Matavius to get in here real quick. But what's being said is that you have more leverage because you're her father than her mom does. Is right. So you may think that because I think you're thinking for the now as opposed to what it's going to be like later, as Dia was trying to communicate. Yes, she is acting however she is acting now, but in the time that she's doing that, how you are to be is still to be her father who she can come to, as opposed to shying away and not wanting to come to you. Because I too, like Shan, was an educator, and my students would want to tell me things that I wouldn't want to know, you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad that they told me, and they found a refuge in me to tell me these things. And that way I'm able to help them navigate, even though I don't like the situation and they may not listen, but they cannot come back and say that my dad or my teacher didn't give me the information. Right. So it's something like that. So Matavius, what you got on it?
That's a hard one because I mean we got boys and girls, so we going either way. I've heard people say like most people train their girls but raise their daughters. They prepare their girls to get married at a young age, but you know you're teaching your boys something different. So for me, it's like you know that playing level is the same. Like I'm raising both you guys for marriage, and for me, it's like we talked about marriage earlier, and like I said, like I don't. If I'm learning about marriage, it's not just for me. It's going to be for my kids too. Like you guys said, like marriage is the standard bearer. So like when I talk to my kids, like, and they want to talk about boyfriend and girlfriend, hey, like we don't date as a hobby. Like that's somebody's wife that you're trying to date, even at a young age. So if my boys come talking about, you know, I got 10, 11, 12 girlfriends. I'm like, can you afford them? Like, do you got money? Because you've been spending everything on Fortnite, so I don't think you're going to be getting it for Valentine's Day or with this or that. So, like, for me, it's like putting it in the head, like, you want to have girlfriends, you want to do all these things. Like, don't, like you said, like, these resources are not going to cover that. But at the same time, like, you have to understand, like, this isn't the game that you're talking about. Because you can start, like I said, you got to come to that maturity. They're talking about this. He's second grade. Other kids, they're young and they're already talking about these things. Like you can't prevent these things, but you can prepare them for it. So like you said, like that maturity process, you can't wait till they're 11, 12 years old. Like it has to start at a young age. You should have to start planting these seeds, talking about these things. So for me, I want to teach my kids and show my kids through how I love my wife, like what love looks like, because at that age, love can look like manipulation. Like you can get those two mixed up really fast. And that's when those young boys who don't have parents like you guys come in the picture. And like you said, like something wrong with that. Like that's not the one for you. We recognize that, but they don't recognize it because they don't know it. So for me, I want to teach my kid how to recognize these things, not by buying them everything, giving them everything, and wanting them to marry somebody like me. But like you said, I love what Chiki said. His dad said, pray for understanding. I hope you have the courage to follow. Like, I'm going to give you the wisdom. I'm going to give you what you need to know. It's up to you to decide to follow. But also, I'm going to continue to guide you because you still are a child. You still do need direction. I want you to come to me like most parents tell their kids, like, don't be a tattletale. Tell me everything because that's trust that we're building. So when you do hit 11 and 12 or 13 and all of a sudden you getting serious about somebody or somebody starting to keep down on you, like you're not going to hide it from me. We built that trust by you being a tattletale. Like you come and told me everything, and you know when you come and tell dad something, like he's not going to judge me, he's not going to scorn me. We're going to have a conversation about that thing. So for me and having such young kids, that's why I love doing things like this, because it's opened up my eyes to like when I do get to the age, like I'm not waiting for it to get here to like start getting ready. Like I'm gonna be prepared for it. You still don't know what's gonna happen, but at the same time, it's almost like you're getting ahead. And with social media and everything nowadays, like it's happening at an even younger age. So for me, it's understand like you cannot stop these things. I said the other day, like you can't keep your kids immune to what's going on in society and culture, but you can teach them to live above it. And that's my job, is to teach my kids, to show them how to maneuver through life and the things that's going to come with life, because it's coming whether I like it as a parent or not. Like I said, my daughters are going to get married. That's why I'm already praying for their spouses. My boys are going to get married. I'm already praying for their spouses. I'm already going ahead, letting them know, like, hey, we get to high school. I don't need a gun, because I trust if she's with you, she's seeing this long term. This is going to be marriage. And that's my mindset. That may not be how it is when they get to the age, but that's my mindset, and that's how I raise my kids and train them up. It's like you guys said, like marriage, that's the standard bearer, and I'm not gonna live anything less from that. And it's not gonna come from me just talking and preach at them. It's like what they see and how I interact with their mom every single day. They know what real love look like, and it's not always pretty. It's gonna be arguments. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. But they aren't gonna leave. They aren't gonna just all of a sudden decide, hey, we're going to argue about this and we're going to go our separate ways. They're going to fight through things. And so I just want to give them a picture of what it looked like mentally and also physically with me and my wife in our marriage.
Hey, you a young old dude. You know that?
I'm about to say like that.
You're a young old dude.
Hey, he's always dropping
That's all maturity is what I'm saying. Like where your mind is.
I used to sit, like what Dale said that earlier, like older people used to say, like, you have an old soul. And I think it's because I should just sit at their feet. You know how people say, get out my mouth or don't go. Like, you just sit and you listen and you just soak up all these things. And you don't have to interrupt and tell them, like, and pretend like you know more to them. It's like you just listen to what they're saying. And I think for me, it was like you're respectful. Like you're being courteous and respectful to like the elders and all of these people. So I just love to listen to people and just take what works and apply it to my life. Understand it may work or may not, but if I see your life and it's something I want, like if it's working for you, obviously there's fruit there. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant that seed over here because I want some of that same fruit. And you know, I think for me it's about listening and learning and just figuring out who has what you want and just going and take those things in and try to apply it to your life in a way that works for your life. Most of you guys don't have 5 kids, but the wisdom that you're spitting is gold. So obviously it's working. I can kind of use it to work for me some way or fashion.
Yeah,
what do you do for him? You a preacher, though?
His channel.
Oh, my bad.
Man, I'm not a preacher, man. People say that all the time. I'm like, I ain't.
About to say, you give me preacher vibes, my boy.
No, that's too many burdens to carry. 5 kids is enough to carry.
Yeah, go check him out on his channel, man. He dropped nuggets like this all the time. Like that's why I reached out to him, because I really appreciated the things that he was saying. So check him out. It's I think it's Martavius Young on TikTok and
I'm on everything. Like I said, this stuff sound good, but like I said, at the end of the day, my wife and my kids has to validate this, and if they don't validate it, then it's pointless. So for me, if I'm gonna say it, then I have to stand on it as well. So
that's a fact, and I can't stand when we be in these YouTube streets when people get on here and get the capping.
Yeah, you always that's a fact. Hey, as he was talking, as Martavius was talking, there was a question that came to mind. I think he was talking about how you argue, right? I think you said something like that to that line. And there was times that I would argue with Jen in front of my kids. Me and Kendra haven't had that just yet because I think I've learned some things along the way. However, I want to ask you, how do you disagree with your spouse in front of your kids? How do you disagree with your spouse in front of your kids? Now, this is whoever wants to go first, and this is a free-for-all. You can jump in wherever. This is not calling anybody. This is go at your time.
I mean, I would definitely say, like, as the leader of the house, you calmly and let them know, like, hey, put a pin in this. We got to talk about this XYZ at an appropriate time. You know what I'm saying? Like like we control all how we communicate, how we argue, how we disagree. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the men, right? We control all of that, like, and making sure everybody's in a safe space at all times. Like that's a part of our protection. So the yelling, screaming, and the awkwardness, like that's a reflection of our leadership. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you discuss things in a way that you find things most convenient to get things solved. You know what I mean? And we're gonna have to do a whole bunch of gymnastics verbally to get to not to trigger them and get the right responses, but that's a part of the job. So like I said, disagreement should be like however you feel comfortable. I can't tell you, how y'all, but I know me, it's calm. I'm like, and if we're not in a place where we can have a disagreement right now, like, hey, we'll be talking about this later, or I'll address it on spot if we're in that place to do it.
I'll say, and for my family, we joke a lot and we have a lot of bets. And like I said, I teach my kids how to think. So they always have an opinion. If it's a situation where one of them is wrong and me or my husband has an opinion about it, they want to know like why. Like they want an explanation. And that's what we do. We facilitate conversations and we offer explanations. Now, if my husband says something that I don't necessarily agree with, then I try to soften it with a wager, and we try to do some research and figure out what the answer is if possible. If it's something that I feel is detrimental, then I'll try to wait and discuss it with them later. But it definitely should be a conversation because we need to explain to our kids why it's right or wrong or whatever the situation called for. And we want to give them the right information. So I think it's more important to be focused on what we consider to be the right thing than whether we're right as individuals for our ego's sake,
So here's what I'll say. I would suggest that probably 90% of the time, if I'm like, let's say for example, disciplining, my son or our son or whatever, like 90% of the time it's like, good on you. And I'll tell you later why I may disagree about it, but she won't say it in front. But if it's one of them things where I'm like, all right, like dad getting a little, over the top with this discipline or whatever, and she be like, all right, bro, all right. I'm like, all right, hey, going over there to your mama, you know what I'm saying? But that's that natural order that I kind of want with a son, especially being military for 20 years, you know what I'm saying? It's a certain type of discipline that I want him to have, even at the young age, you know what I'm saying? So that's just one example. I mean, we ain't perfect. We ain't gonna smack home runs every single time or whatever. But I'll say my wife does not have that innate thing that you ladies like to have, the need to be right. She don't have that in her. She will yield. She don't give a shit about being right. You know what I'm saying? She don't care about that. That's not what this is about or whatever. So she'll just be like, yeah, let's talk about it later. Or she won't even say anything. She'll be like, okay. And then later on, we in the bedroom getting ready to go to sleep. She was like, or the next day, she'd be like, baby, like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, nah.
I think my dad had me young, so I watched him grow up while I was growing up, and he would teach me what he was learning while he was growing up. So it was I was his first child, and he had me at 19 or 20. So like with me, he got married once, got divorced. So I would see them fight, when I was little. Then in his second marriage, right, with my second mom, I was older. I think I was maybe like 6 or 7 when he had his divorce. But my dad's always like left that open line of communication. Like, as you can say what you want to say as long as it's respectful, has been his approach. Because he tends to, I think my dad has a good grasp on the maturity level and the level of intellect that his children have because he's got more than one kid. So what I've noticed and what I've spotted, and I talked to him today about, funny enough, I'd spoken with him earlier, right, about what's kind of going on with family. He has enough understanding to know what child can handle what and what child is capable, mature enough, and to do certain things. So when it came to conversations with my second mom, he would just have them. And sometimes I was there, sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes we was driving to school. So morning situations happen, and that's when I realized sometimes you arguing in the morning because something wasn't resolved last night. So I'm in the car. You can't not talk to your wife because I'm in the car and we driving to school now. And no, this is what's going on. Why are we doing this? What is the problem? I remember hearing the frustration. I remember hearing him trying to guide the vision. Like, I have a family vision. I have a vision for what this family is going to look like. There's a standard we're upholding. I'm telling my son to uphold the standard while we're heading to school. And he was a resource officer, so he worked at the same school I went to school at. So it was a constant reminder on his end of standards and how we operate as our last name, right? So he would have that conversation very openly, and he would allow for his children to critique him and his wife. Now, most people may go in which was her viewpoint. You a child, so stay in the child's place. But the problem is, all children don't have the same aptitude as a child. Some children are very aware. Some children have thought. Some children have self-actualization. They realize I'm developing into something. I don't know how this works or what's going on, but I know something's changing in me. What is it, right? Or I'm noticing you're treating me a certain way, right? She was my second mom is was a latchkey kid, super protective of me, and it overprotective, not super, but it's like I can't go outside. And my dad would be like, let the kid live, and I would have to tell her, let me live, right? Respectfully, like, hey, I promise you I'll be okay if I go to the gas station down the street. Living in Atlanta, like, you have areas you can walk to and go to and we'll be okay, right? But learning how to allow your kid to communicate and feel respected, but not be overbearing with that. Like, as a kid, I knew, all right, certain conversations, it's time to go. I know I can't. I would know that. Like, I think we really downplay kids' intelligence, emotional, social, and the ability to perceive, or not even perceive, but articulate what it is that they think, because they all of those things happen. Mm-hmm. And if you stunt that growth, you may put them in a level on a level of arrested development that if they just had enough, push or enough encouragement to say, this is what I think, this is what I feel, I want to articulate myself, I just need someone to understand me as best as they can, then they'll do it. Like, you can regulate that. Just because you let your kid join in a conversation doesn't mean they're gonna be disrespectful. Because it's up to you to determine that. Like, my dad would be like, look, it's not one of them conversations you get to have right now. And I'll be like, oh, my bad, Pops, I didn't know. And go play video games. Or I'll go do kid stuff. Sometimes I ask, what is sex? And he'll tell me, this is what I think it is from his viewpoint. He didn't give me this, it's when the birds and the bees, when somebody loves. No, it's an emotional, spiritual unity that happens for a man and a woman. And the moment it happens, you're technically, whatever spiritual viewpoint you have, culturally and spiritually, that's your wife. So my approach to women and sex has always been different, but it's because he allowed me to have those kind of conversations when I was little, like 8, 9, 10. I remember having these thoughts. He was a college minister as well, so I was always around college campus, college age kids when I was young. So just, you can have a kid there, the kid can be there, the kid can have conversation, And if you don't think he can, then you could tell your child, look, you can't really have this conversation right now. You can ask questions, maybe later, or maybe talk to me after the fact. But you regulate that. Don't stop your kid from exploring or being inquisitive, because then you kill the potential of learning, and that's not really cool.
That was great.
And that's why I wanted the perspective, man, because me not having my dad in my life, like it's like I felt that I was missing something, right? Listening to Cheeky, you can how his dad approached him. You can see that what I'm trying to accomplish, hopefully it comes through how Cheeky is explaining, right? When they talk to my sons and my daughters, that they see that what it is that I'm trying to do is prepare them for whatever situation they encounter. So that was really dope, Cheeky.
Yeah.
So can I say something real quick? Somebody in the chat way earlier said how many of our parents are married, and then how many of them are still married. And I think that I can circle back around why I think it's important now in the middle of this topic that we're having right now. So I just want to go around the panel, if that's cool with you, Humble Dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine are not married.
Okay. Martavius?
My parents are not married. Got divorced right after I was born.
Okay. Shit.
My parents were never married. My stepdad has been around since I was about 3. So he's really all I know as far as parenting. And they are still married to this day.
Okay.
No, I don't come from that either. So,
Cheeky?
So my dad got remarried, and my mom is still single.
And you were raised with your
my dad. So
your dad.
Yeah, that's again, it's another dope conversation when my parents were going through a divorce.
How old were you when they went through a divorce?
I was I think it was 6 or 7.
Okay.
Oh no. I was 8. So I remember we was out. They were having a discussion about who was going to, like, where the kid wanted to stay. And my dad, I remember they was talking. He took me out to the front of the house, and we sat in the car. He was like, look, me and your mom going through divorce. I was like, yeah, I know, I get that. And then he was like, but now we got to determine where you're going to live. And he kind of explained, like, look, I want you to live with me because I think only a man can raise a boy to be a man. Right. And so I was like, fine, then I'll go live with you. And from that point on, I've been staying with him.
All right. Dwayne.
Yes, sir. No, my parents they divorced whenever I was 8 years old.
Okay. And Miss Dia?
My parents separated right after I was born, like Martavius. But my mom got married 2 more times, and the third time was a charm. I love my stepdad to death, and my dad never remarried. Yeah, he did remarry later on, but maybe about 5 years before he passed away.
Right. Yeah. So the reason why I think it's important, like in the middle of this conversation that we're having, is because, you know, some of us never got a chance. And by the way, sorry, because me not rob y'all. So my parents were never married either, right? So I was going to go see my dad once every other weekend, you know, a couple times throughout the week type stuff until a certain age. And then that we kind of separated, right? But the reason why I think it's important in the middle of this conversation is because a lot of us don't have that example, right, of how you're supposed to disagree in a household or agree or what have you, which kind of I always bring it up, Humble Dad, because it seems like every time I'm on a panel, it applies, man. My wife, she was raised in a household with both her parents. Her parents are still married to this day, right? And back to what I was saying before, one of the things that my wife doesn't have is that need to be right, or always trying to win arguments or whatever, because she actually saw what that was supposed to look like inside of a household growing up, right? So this is another reason why, going back to what Prototype was saying earlier, what I was saying earlier, at a bare minimum, be married when you have children, right? Hopefully it stands the test of time. That way they can see how people are supposed to interact in relationships, right? How healthy functioning marriages are supposed to, how they're supposed to operate, right? So I figured I'd circle back around. Whoever put that in the chat, like, thank you for dropping that, because it's important, especially now. Go ahead.
I think the healthy part is the main thing, because I didn't know my stepdad was my stepdad at 3. I didn't know he was my stepdad at 5. And I was in an abusive household where there was always fussing. I mean, if I go home now, the likelihood that there's going to be an argument is 90%, which is why I avoid it, honestly. So that showed up in my marriage, quite frankly. There were some arguments that were tabled.
Wait. Sorry. You said that showed up in your marriage, and that was because of what you saw growing up as a kid?
Yes. Like I'm the type that would like to just go ahead and resolve it and move on. So if we talking about it, we talking about it. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like, we're talking about it. So I think me constantly seeing my father, because I call him my dad, my father hitting, beating, it gave me a tough mentality. Like, you are not doing that with me. Period, point blank. And now I have got in my car and left because he has said something off the wall, and I'm like, yeah, so this is not for me. I'm gonna wrap up my kids, holler at your girl. Maybe I'll come back in 6 months. It may be a year, but I'm just not doing it. Like, we're just not doing that. And so that it is what it is. So my verbal communication in marriage was not good. It just wasn't. I think the last time we talked about finances, and I was like, beast mode, like, what we doing? Because that is what I saw. That is what I grew up. It's constantly a defensive mode. That was the relationship that I constantly saw in my household. Even from my grandparents who had me. My grandmother was a single parent, and my aunt beat her husbands. It was, I had no good examples of females growing up. None, zero. And so now I am having to basically take that tangle web of Christmas lights and undo all of that.
It's ironic that you're saying that, because in the chat right now, Robin M, she's saying, sugar bum, these men think because they are biologically male that that automatically qualifies them to be leaders, basically, is what she said previously in a previous comment as well. So here's the thing: don't pick men that aren't leaders, right? So tagging along with what Shan's saying, a lot of us we don't have experience in that, because your parents, your aunties, none of them knew how to pick men either, right? And some of us for men too, but we're talking specifically about the women because that was what was in the comments, right? If you don't mind. Like, don't pick dudes that aren't leaders. Learn how to vet men, and then you won't have these issues, right? 99% of black men are not leaders. All right, you trolling now. So I
never seen. How would you tell a leader though, Quest? Right? Like, I think we could see that in other men, right? Because I think men look at other men in two categories if they're decent, and that's like if we see his integrity level is high, and if we see his discipline is high. You know what I'm saying? Like so a dude that got disciplined, like I know Martavius, he played ball. You a Green Beret, Dwayne, he's Jamaican, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, but we all come, like, we vet men, and we look at other men like, oh, he got some discipline. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all can speak a good game. You know what I'm saying? But we all won't know each other's really, really solid until we like seeing each other's discipline level and integrity level. Mm-hmm. And with those things, we can be like, oh, that's really dope. Like them dudes is dope. Now, women, I've never seen that on a woman's list. Discipline and integrity. I've never seen it.
So, you know which is why this. So this is why this cycle is so important, right? Go ahead, Dia. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you rock.
So let me say this: because me and my husband been together for so long, when we had our first child, it's a 11-year age gap. The way that we handle discipline in front of my first child is totally different than we do in front of my second child, because we were much younger when we had him, and my trust in his parenting skills was on a different level then. So he developed more and more into a leader over time. So I would say a lot of that will be based on how old you are, how mature you are when you actually do get married. So you like you said, Prototype said, how do you know a leader? So I didn't consciously have my first child. So at the end of the day, a lot of people don't consciously have children. Unfortunately, in a perfect world, everybody's going to have a child after they get married. But I think, and the reality of it is that's not how things are going. And it hasn't been that way in the past necessarily, or wouldn't be so many single mothers. So I'm just saying that's going to depend on where you are mentally before you have kids, how you going to choose to discipline them in front of the other parents.
No, it's not this. We're not talking about disciplining our kids. We're talking about the level.
Or I'll say disagree. It says, how do you disagree with your spouse?
I was talking about the leadership, picking how to pick a leader, and I'm saying like the level of discipline a man has within himself to like do what he said he was going to do, like the discipline of. Like you'll see discipline in somebody that goes to the gym consistently.
Right.
Like what are they consistently disciplined about? Dedicated about. You know what I mean? So that's how you can tell if he's going to be a good leader or not. And that shows in young men.
Yeah. Does he do what he says he's going to do?
Right. Exactly. Does he see things through? Yeah.
Right. If he sees things through, you can tell that from a teenage boy. You know what I'm saying? If he's dedicated to finishing a task, that's how you like. Oh, he's a leader. Integrity. Is he doing the job correctly? Like he's not just trying to like, all right, we're just gonna cover this up. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, if you told him to paint a wall, is he painting a wall with integrity, the whole wall? Right. Did he finish and did he not cut any corners? That's how you should pick your guys, and that's how we pick men or determine whether they're good men or not. Like
that's how we determine our friends.
Exactly.
If another man is a man.
Exactly.
I think what Prototype is trying to say, if I'm correct, what he's trying to say is that since we transitioned to the topic, is that because women don't know what it's like to be a man or be able to say, okay, this dude is not really about his business. It's helpful for you to have a man in your life that can help you choose the man, as opposed to trying to do it by yourself. Because one of the things that men talk, women can kind of get carried away with what the words that the guy is saying and not necessarily paying attention to the actions of the dude.
Behavior.
Right. And so that's why what you said early in the conversation, you was like, you need to practice abstinence, right? Because then you're able to focus even more on actions. Right, to see if he's consistent instead of like, was he good in bed? You feel me? Right. So if we can get that part as well connected, even though it may be a little later in life, you may have made the situation may have happened where you had a kid out of wedlock and you're not married, right? However, you can now make better decisions, right? Now that you have new information, and you can also talk to your kids about, listen, I'm going to be the one that's why it's important. That's what's interesting about Prototype's answer, right? Because it's almost a contradiction to what he said before, because it makes more sense for me to be able to tell my daughter about this dude that she's hanging out with, right? Because I have more control of the situation. I'm able to say, listen, sweetheart, like he really just not what that is. You know what I'm saying? And this is the reason why. Okay. And not, you know what I'm saying? And what it is that I see in him. Right, because I did this one time before with my daughter G. I said, listen, the dude that you hanging out with, he only hang out with girls. You know what I'm saying? That's not like a dude. Like dudes notice a dude that's only hanging out with girls. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's not a good look, baby girl. And she was like, well, I don't understand. I said, I'm just letting you know that you need to pay attention, right? That if he's only hanging out with girls, that's not a good look from other dudes, right? Do you see all these other guys that are in your class? Do they hang out with him? And she said, no. I said, then you need to pay attention to that, right? Because dudes want to hang out with other dudes, especially when you're in middle school, and especially in middle school, Shane, you know that. Like, they're not really trying to be around the other girls unless they're trying to be one-on-one with their girls, right? So that's what I think Prototype is trying to say. And so what Miss Deal was saying is how they disagree. That is different now than it was before.
No,
so
I'm sorry. What I was doing was I was just reverting. I was thinking about the question again.
Yeah.
And I was just adding on to how I disagree with my spouse in front of my kids, just pointing out that it's different now as a parent than it was when we had our first son because of the age gap. So I probably disagree more with my older child because I was younger. That's what I was speaking about.
Okay, I got you.
You understand?
That's what I saw you doing there. That's why I was trying to connect it. Dwayne, did you want to say something? Because we're going to get ready and wrap this up because I value our time. We was going to be talking about intimacy while being married with kids. And we'll table that for next week. Okay. All right. Ooh. Dwayne, do you have something to say before we go?
No, I think y'all hit it on the head. Each y'all's perspective I find valuable. As for the main thing for my household, I find it valuable as well because I didn't have it modeled, but I find it valuable to be able to disagree in front of our children with the level of respect that we're not degrading each other, disrespecting each other, and modeling that. And I tend to do it with humor at times. Sometimes my wife doesn't respect that. But she'll let me know offline, be like, hey, I didn't appreciate that, but then I could take that and I could finesse it for next time. But just I think it was Prototype who was saying, yeah, we could take this up offline, because there's certain things that you want to bring up at the time, but then if it gets more contentious, you take it to the appropriate environment. But I do find value in being able to disagree peaceably in front of our kids so that they can see how that is modeled. And sometimes it doesn't go as planned, and I'll be real with y'all, this is within the last week. Okay, all right, so I messed around and called my wife at the wrong time, and she was around the wrong people, and she let me have it in front of them, right? And I'm gonna put it like this, like I'm gonna take fault in that, because I could have been like, all right, yeah, we'll pick this up later. But no, for some reason, I wanted to keep it going. And every last thing that I got, I deserved. Because I could have been like, hey, you know what? Like, taper it. Come on, address this later. So I also then believe that you can also force other people to react badly. And in that, if you're not able to check your own emotions, then you'll also allow somebody else to then not be able to check theirs, and then it'll be okay because you did it first. So I don't even want to put myself in that situation anymore. I've been learning. It's a learning experience, and I'll be real with y'all. Yeah, within the last 2 weeks, boy. So, yep.
That's what's up. Thank you for your transparency as always, homie. Well, it's been good. It's been real. It's been fun. I appreciate everybody's perspective. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel right now. I mean, you can do that right now. It's free. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want free stuff, but don't want to give free stuff away. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, hold on, Humble Dad. How much we got until we monetized over here, Mr. Humble Dad?
I need 400 more subscribers.
Watch hours?
Watch hours. I have to go back and look. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but
I need 400. I need 400 subscribers for sure.
Okay. Hey, make sure y'all show Mr. Humble Dad, Dr. Dad, as I like to call him, some support. Please subscribe. Love the channel, man. Please come and subscribe to this channel, man. That's my little part, Humble Dad. I love you, bro.
I appreciate that. Appreciate you, Cheeky, for streaming on your platform along with you as well, Prototype. I appreciate that, man. Hopefully, people have learned something. They can take it back to their circles.
Yeah, I gotta commend my chat for being really, really chill.
They was
my
Some
chat.
of them folk were piped up in there, my boy.
Look, but what you think is piped up is actually pretty calm. So I mean, I appreciate you for having me, man. I'm sorry about the tardiness. I just had some things coming up, and funny enough, my dad teaching me how to handle stressful moments as the man in the family. Like, he's the only male, so he's a lot was on his plate right now. So we had to chop it up real quick. But if you don't mind, could you got a link so I can drop it to my chat, everybody, so people could support and follow?
Yeah, they can just type in Humble Dad on YouTube.
All right, let me
write that up.
Let me highlight that.
The one and only. You did.
That's what's up, right? I am the one and only. You know what I'm saying?
That's funny. I'm the one and only as well. I want to feel special too.
That's what's up. So make sure y'all go subscribe to everybody's platform. Montavious is on all platforms. He gives major knowledge. Shan, I seen the TikTok dancing. You know what I'm saying? I seen you keeping up with Faith. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, better not be no twerking, Shan.
Oh God, no. This is clean. We're all clean.
Yeah. And then you got Prototype is on Tuesdays at 8. Man, it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, but it's 9 o'clock Eastern. We Eastern. Yeah, so it's 8 o'clock Eastern, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
9 o'clock Eastern. 9 o'clock Eastern.
9 o'clock Eastern.
Just go subscribe, and you'll get the alert.
Absolutely. That makes more sense, right? That makes more sense. All right, you can drop it in the chat every now and then. Then you got Cheeky Banner. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's always hey, he blew up real quick for sure. He be talking about everything and under the sun for sure. So go check out.
A little hectic.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Quest, he's over there on Instagram. Him and his son is always taking some type of pictures, but now he's on this plant thing that he got to explain to people about his plants.
All right, so check it out. I ain't now on no plant thing. I've been on plants.
That's a fact.
So it's springtime, and so my plant's doing some changing, and I'm making some changes with them, cutting them back, trimming them. You know what I'm saying? You feel me?
I'm in the same process, bro.
That's it.
Shane loves
That's my thing too. Get it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bet. Hey, I gotta check you out on IG. Come on over. I'm gonna show you some of my little partners.
That's what's up. Kendra's sister took us on a tour when we went to Atlanta. If I would have known, Quest, I would have had to tell you about the entire house is just nothing but plants, and she's just talking to us about every one of the plants, bro.
Whose house? Shane?
Kendra's sister.
Oh, I thought you said Shan. I'm about to say what?
I have them in all the places. My kids give me quotas every month. Like, don't bring nothing else in this house. It's bad.
Hey, that was my wife. My wife be like, all right, we don't need no more plants. No more. What she don't realize, I'm about to propagate some of the ones I got and put them in new pots. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? We about to be planted up in this bitch. You hear me?
Yeah, you got Dwayne Jones. He's photography. Hey, make sure you book him as well. And then Ms. Dia, what can we find you? I know you're working on some things.
Yes. So my podcast is coming soon. It's a Rose from Rebel is my brand, and this is my email address. But aside that, that's it at the moment.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate
the folks in the chat say you look like Rosie Perez.
That's
you
true.
get that often?
Rosie Perez, Faith Evans.
That's another one.
It's the hair flip. It's the blonde with the hair flips, man.
Yeah, you got that hair flipped and dipped, baby. I'm gonna just tell you straight up.
I don't know what to tell them.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate y'all. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The boy is dangerous.
Good show.
seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.
What a dope show. Appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.